Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Robert Stickle. I'm also joined by my colleague Jim Patterson. Jim will be today's presenter and will discuss the topic of how OnePlan is aligning with Microsoft's project and portfolio management vision. This webinar is a new addition to our series of adaptive webinars, so if you enjoy this video, feel free to watch the others we have available on our channel and look towards the next installment, which we'll be releasing soon. And as always, I hope that today's presentation grants you some insight into the world of project and portfolio management and gets you excited for the new developments happening within the industry and here at OnePlan. Thank you again. I'll now turn the presentation over to Jim.
So first, I'd like to say that part of the reason that we're here talking about the vision of Microsoft is that we're very closely aligned with Microsoft in the area of project and portfolio management. You can see we have a number of Microsoft Gold Partner certifications, but our passion and our focus area is in the discipline of project and portfolio management. And we're pleased to say that once again in 2022, just recently it was announced that we were awarded the Partner of the Year globally in project and portfolio management by Microsoft again. You can see that we've won these a number of times over the years, so we're consistently being recognized for our vision and our competency in these areas and helping customers get the outcomes that they're looking for. We're also recognized very heavily by the analysts like Gartner and Infotech, and also Scaled Agile Inc. for people who are doing more agile portfolio type of things. So once again, just proud to announce that we're being recognized for these things, and we're pleased to be able to talk to you today. Now, when we talk about aligning with Microsoft's vision, what is that modern work management vision that they have? Where are they going with project management and portfolio management? Well, two precepts that in that are that teams should be able to work it the way that they want at the execution level, but executives should get the results that they need, meaning that we have to meet the needs of all levels of the organization with the right solution. So from a Microsoft project perspective, the vision for their new offering here is that it wants to empower companies to achieve better results by aligning investments with projects and resources and working with agility and flexibility and a collaborative focus globally, all using intuitive, consistent tools in the Microsoft Cloud Platform. And we're going to talk about that in more detail here today. Now, this modern work management is really meant to evolve from where we've been in the project and work management space. And it's meant to address a number of different problems, like work is happening everywhere all the time and we end up losing track. How do we get the big picture? Our teams choose their own tools and work the way they want because some are doing agile stuff, some are doing waterfall, some are doing hybrid, some are more complex or more simple. And the idea is to collaborate with the right tools for the right people and let them choose how they would like to interact. There's also a trend towards less project management being done by formally trained project managers. So these casual or sometimes occasional project managers are being asked to do these things, and not to mention the expectations of a younger workforce that wants simple visual tools, more of that app culture, like in a phone, like you just install it and you start working with it. So the idea is to provide a more simple type of approach to this, or more interface or user experience. Also, business processes cut across functions and systems. So we have to run end to end on a business process across the entire organization and be able to collaborate accordingly. And going without saying, you need a compliant platform today, whether it be for privacy and security, or just from an infrastructure perspective, or meeting the needs of different standards that are out there. The Microsoft platform provides that, and it does it in spades. Now, bridging this work management gap to get into the future, what are some of the aspects? Well, with that casual project management, we're all being asked to manage projects, but we're all not trained to do so. We believe collaboration is critical, but sometimes with email and other aspects of this, it's chaotic and always happening everywhere, meaning we sometimes don't get that comprehensive or cohesive view or communication that we're needing. We want to manage work our way, but sometimes our legacy tools our organizations are providing us don't allow us to do it in the way that we need to do it. So because of this, teams are choosing their own tools to succeed, that kind of shadow IT with the easy access of cloud tools and things today. So we want to use our data effectively, but because of this proliferation of tools, sometimes that data is scattered in different forms and formats, and it's a mess and has to be manual mashups of data and reporting that sometimes takes their projects in and of themselves. And we need to make better decisions for decision support, but no one has the big picture to get that comprehensive view that they're looking for. So the gap that we're trying to fill is to address some of these things and these misses. Now, the Microsoft Cloud is in a unique position to bring it all together with their offerings in Office and in Dynamics and the things that people deploy through Azure. So being able to do something comprehensively across all work, Microsoft is well positioned for this. And it's a connected work management platform, and you'll see just from this, from the Microsoft offerings, the tools that they have for doing work, and it seems to be growing. Teams for collaboration, Planner for lighter weight Kanban style things. To do, some people are doing email and SharePoint. Project for the web. Azure DevOps has the Azure boards in them, etc. The idea is bringing this together from a common platform, but being able to bring it all together in a way that people can consume it and execute on it and use it for decision support is what a solution needs to do to bring this all together. Now, many of you are here on this Microsoft vision because maybe you've been longtime Microsoft project users, Microsoft Project Online in particular, for more of a repository-based portfolio management system. Now, it's been a couple of years now since Microsoft announced that they are reimagining Project and that they've ended investments in Project Online. And the things we're going to show you today is the direction that they're going. And the key is that there's no firm announced date, but Project Online at some point will not be here. And the idea is that we need to start making plans to leverage these modern capabilities at a time that's right for us, but not dally too much in that. So today we're going to try to educate you a little bit what those options are. So the Microsoft Project Evolution is really about moving from that Project Online piece that was a SharePoint Online based solution that's been around and served us well for many years. But what's next? Well, there's a couple different branches to consider, and we're going to focus on one of them today. One is this move into Project for the Web and Power Apps in the Power Platform. That's going to be our focus today. And this is a great move and a great option for the folks doing traditional project and portfolio management needs, things like your PMOs and such. Now, in the Dynamics world, Microsoft also has a solution called Project Operations, and that's more specifically designed for customer-facing, professional services type of projects where we must have billable work and different billing types and quite close tying with your financial system with Microsoft Finance and Operations. And the idea there is that you have something that's a targeted solution for a specific audience in this customer-facing billable projects world. Now, the foundation of this is evolving, but it's based on Microsoft Project for the Web. It's designed to be a simple and powerful project management software that's easier to use without having a big ramp up time like often happens with Microsoft Project Professional on the desktop. As you can see from this animated slide here, you have grid views, much like a spreadsheet. You have timeline views with Gantt charts in there to work with the same data, or you can work with boards in a more Kanban style like you would in Planner. The difference being that this has a scheduling engine in it, just like Microsoft Project Desktop, as opposed to something like Planner, which is just Kanban-based task management without resource management or without dependencies and those types of things. But the key here is to bring people a fresh new experience and a modern interface, make collaboration easy with things like co-authoring on these plans, and just intelligent planning and based on an innovative platform, which is the Power Platform. So this new Microsoft PPM that we're going to talk about today is built on the Power Platform using Power Apps. Now, the Power Platform, you may be using parts of that already. Many organizations are already using Power BI for analytics and dashboards, etc. Maybe using Power Automate already for workflow automation, which is really supplanting the things we used to do with SharePoint Designer workflows. And Power Apps is the low-code, no-code platform for developing solutions in this Power Platform, leveraging data that's all stored within Dataverse, which is the common database repository where all this data would reside, as opposed to what we did in Project Online with a more of a SharePoint foundation. Now, Project for the Web is built on this and leverages the other components of this Power Platform to bring more robust and more modern solutions to you. Now, if you're thinking about this move and wondering whether you should do it or not, be assured that Satya Nadella himself at Microsoft, the CEO, says that The Power Platform is part of what's core to what they're doing as a company. So it's the direction that Microsoft's going with its solutions. So if you're contemplating whether or not to make the move off of your older platform into this, just be assured that you're going to be in lockstep with where Microsoft is going. Now, Project for the Web can be used much like desktop in the fact that you could just use it to manage your own individual project plans and just surface them from that database repository and access them one at a time. But the real power in this comes from leveraging these things as a portfolio of projects. So imagine here on the left that you're storing and saving all of your projects into Dataverse. And you can access them individually if you like. But what we're going to show you today is with Power Apps, you can actually have a portfolio management solution that leverages the data from the Project for the Web schedules, but also adds other components at the portfolio and program level that give you the information you need for overall portfolio management. Now, even though the vision for Power Apps is a low-code, no-code platform where non-developers can actually make solutions, not all customers have the appetite to develop their own solutions, nor do they feel confident enough to do that. Hence, there's available and developed by OnePlan for Microsoft is this Project Accelerator that is a Power App that's downloadable for licensed Microsoft project users so that they can actually leverage this portfolio management solution right out of the box. We were pleased to be able to provide and develop this as a Microsoft partner, and it includes additional things to your schedules like initial project requests, promoting those things into a portfolio of projects, maybe aggregating your projects into logical collections of programs, resource pool, and also reports around that. And those reports get extended beyond just what you get with Project for the Web by itself, because now we have portfolio level data, program level data that allows us to aggregate and roll that up. That didn't exist, those data points didn't exist with just the individual schedules in Project for the Web. So it gives us a more comprehensive piece of information here. Now, what's in there? Well, the Project for the Web projects and tasks and the schedules that you build in there. But the Power Apps piece, the Accelerator, it adds entities or tables in there for issues and risks and change requests, status reports that include the ability to enter narrative, some governance in there, KPIs. The idea there is that Power Apps adds that layer onto what's just schedules when you work with Project for the Web. It also adds the ability to have that project request area that we talked about in Power Apps, as well as be able to have programs that are collections of the projects that are being built within Project for the Web. And they will all leverage, from a reporting perspective, Power BI for the dashboards and reports, which Microsoft provides a set of those things. We'll talk about OnePlan providing some many more on top of that you can leverage, as well as the ability to fashion your own reports, modify the ones that are there, because Power BI will let you do that. It's just leveraging the data from the solution, but the reports are up to you as far what things you want to service and what you'd like those to look like. So the things that you'd have in a Power App, more of a structured solution, might be that project request with demand management and reports to help you analyze those. There'd be program management, where it aggregates groups of projects into rolled up programs so that we can manage these things as a collection. There's project management in Project for the Web, because the Accelerator natively just leverages Project for the Web as a scheduler. So you can look at these in grids or in boards or in more timeline views with the Gantt charts. Risk management, so you can have a risk register and some reports that with risk matrices, etc. Issues logs and reports that correspond with that. Change requests and reporting and dashboards around those changes across all your projects, as well as status reports that include key data points from the solution itself, as well as narratives that you can enter each reporting period. And then there's the project intelligence, or the Power BI, the Accelerator report pack that we talked about. So we'll show you some of this stuff in the demonstration. I just wanted to flash these to you so you understood what the components were. Now, the Accelerator with Project for the Web is meeting the needs of a lot of people today. But if we think about, the more mature and the more comprehensive portfolio management capabilities that analysts like Gartner say are critical capabilities, we're filling the gap with some of those things with additional things from OnePlan. OnePlan is designed to seamlessly fit within that accelerator within Power Apps to be consumed to enhance or extend that solution to further capabilities for things like time management or timesheets, more detailed financial planning, resource capacity planning, and additional project portfolio management with things like more flexible views and what-if scenario modeling, etc. And the key is that OnePlan adds that mix to here so that we add it to that project for the web mix in the Power Platform and really extend that capability beyond what the accelerator gives you by itself. So for example, if we look at OnePlan extending this, we look at the purples in here that we had prior that was the Power App Accelerator, and the greens, which are project for the web. OnePlan's adding these blue areas, which is strategy, execution, and alignment, additional portfolio capabilities, prioritization, financials, capacity planning, and even a central My Work area for all your different contributors so they can have one place to go to status all their project efforts, as well as a timesheet that leverages all this information that isn't in the native accelerator solution as well. And even beyond that, we have connectors so that the solution doesn't necessarily have to have schedules just from Project for the Web, the new solution. We have connectors that bring in data from your traditional project professional, and many people love that and are experienced with it and love the capabilities that are there. So why not bring that into the mix? Some people are doing more agile projects using things like Azure DevOps or Jira. There are connectors for those to bring that execution data into the portfolio, leveraging OnePlan's connectors. So the key is that you can extend this beyond just the base accelerator if you have these needs. And our integrations aren't one-off code that we're writing. These are productized connectors delivered as a service, and some of the common ones we have are in the software development or agile areas, commonly Azure DevOps and Jira, financial and ERP connectors, other scheduling software connectors, as well as service management tools like ServiceNow or Dynamics or Salesforce, CRM systems like in Dynamics or Salesforce, and even other ideation sources you might have, like you're doing in SharePoint or things like AHA. So the key there is that there is a whole library of pre-built connectors that can bring more data into that solution to make it even more comprehensive. So the things that OnePlan can add is portfolio visibility across all work regardless of the tool sets. So the inputs into this could be project for the desktop, project for the web, Jira, Azure DevOps, Planner, other things, as well as tied to team sites because OnePlan is an authorized Microsoft Teams application. It also gives you the ability to do enhanced prioritization, as well as look at your portfolio in terms of more Kanban boards for your more agile-oriented people to do things like program increment planning and have more visual portfolio planning, as well as roadmaps as a natural output of the process so that people want these roadmap views and understand how these things look from different perspectives. There's also a portfolio tree hierarchy that allows us to build, as many layers deep as you want, things like different portfolios and programs and even sub-programs and projects, even organized by business unit, whatever the hierarchy that you think you would like to have, as well as resource capacity planning to understand either from a top-down capacity plan or from a bottom-up roll-up of all the resource allocations within your schedules. What are we looking at, and are we over and under allocated, and can we deliver on the portfolio that we're intending to execute on? Resource negotiations so that project managers and resource managers can actually collaborate and understand where the requests are and where the needs are and fulfill with the resources that have the availability to do so. Resource prioritization in a what-if scenario mode to try and reconcile the projects we would like to do and the timing of those projects, and what would it take and what does that resource profile look like, and do we have even a chance to deliver on it based upon what's required. We have financial planning as well, detailed financial tracking with detailed cost categories and other cost types like budgets and revised forecasts and actuals. The idea here is that you can also do prioritization and what if scenario to fit this portfolio within your budgetary constraints, that where you can set those budgets and understand, can we do this within the dollars we have, in addition to can we do this with the resources we have. And that My Work area, one place for your people to go to say, here's all the things that have been put on my plate. Doesn't matter if it's a task or an issue or other type of action items that they can actually see what's on their plate and status it right from here and feed that information back to the project. Same thing with a timesheet. If you have a need to collect time for either client billing or chargebacks or whatever other purpose, capitalization, OPEX, tax incentives, whatever it might be, we have the ability with a fully functional timesheet for you on that as well. Not to mention insights. Insights and some good intelligence here on what requires your attention and giving you easy access to those things for each and every user. We add that to the mix as well when you're using that accelerator or just OnePlan by itself. And then the key there is consistent status reporting. The ability to have this be a natural output of the process, not be something that you're compiling and building manually each and every reporting period. And the idea is to get this either at a project level or even at a program or portfolio level and be able to drill into the data that you want to see based upon the information that is in the solution. Now, let's take this another step further. So we've talked about how OnePlan extends the accelerator to add more PPM type of capabilities and make it more of an adaptive project and portfolio management solution with mixed methodology and mixed tool sets. But there's a move afoot and a momentum, and the analysts will bear this out, analysts like Gartner, that there is a move to strategic portfolio management, which is not a replacement for what we've been doing in PPM, but it's meant to enhance and grow the dimensions of the things we consider when we're doing portfolio management. For example, on the strategic level, we want business leaders that are setting the strategy and putting strategic execution plans in place so that they can see that they have tangible measures to see if they're achieving those strategies. And let alone the execution leaders who not only are executing on these things, but should be aligned with those strategies and making sure that we're working on the right things that actually help deliver on the vision and the direction that our leadership is taking us as an organization. And then we have to factor in the technology pieces. Do we have the technology or the capabilities within our organization to deliver on the things that we're executing on? Or are there dependencies or things we have to modify to make sure that we have the core capabilities or technology and to succeed with what we're executing and delivering as a project or as an initiative? So these are just some of the dimensions we have to factor in with this SPM or strategic portfolio management. Now, as I said, this is meant to enhance what's being done with PPM today. If you look at Gartner's Hype Cycle on this, strategic portfolio management is in that innovation or early area that isn't quite as far along as adaptive project and portfolio management, et cetera. But the idea is it's being added and it is on the rise, and it's going to be here for a while if we look at a typical life cycle, how long it goes through these different phases of a life cycle. So what we add in OnePlan is the idea of being able to put strategic execution plans in place, be able to put strategies or objectives in place, and then have key results or tangible measures to help us determine whether or not we're making satisfactory progress towards achieving those within the timeframes allotted. On top of that, your project portfolios can be, and initiatives can be aligned with those strategies to make sure that we're working on the right things, or at least factor in those strategic alignments and other alignments when we're making a decision on whether to do a project or when to do a project or when to prioritize that project. So this strategic portfolio management really includes this whole enterprise architecture notion, where we have strategies and we have portfolios. We have other things that align with these things like applications, business capabilities, products, different organizations, value streams for the agile folks. But these things are all interrelated to kind of determine what we're going to work on and are they going to give us the business outcomes and get us to that future enterprise model we'd like to be in. So in this case, strategic portfolio management in OnePlan gives you the ability to define those enterprise architecture components, whether it be the strategies, the applications, the business capabilities, put that strategic plan in place, right, so that we can align with that as well. And then this project portfolio is aligned with all of it. So the need for strategic alignment might be something like this. The objective is to grow revenue. There's key results that we're going to identify that we're going to track to see are we marching towards that goal. And then there might be in the enterprise architecture, say a business capability that we have to have that either has to be modified or factored into what we're doing to achieve this objective. And that capability might be supported by different applications that have to be considered. that might need to be modernized or modified or factored into our decision there. And then ultimately, the initiatives that we have are all aligned or associated with these things. And until we actually have that complete picture, we may be missing the boat on the way we prioritize things or factoring in the things that we need to be successful. So in this particular case, we look at the need for alignment, and that need for alignment would have the strategic plan, the enterprise architecture, and the portfolio of initiatives all aligned with one another, and OnePlan provides that capability. Now, from a reporting perspective, it also makes some really cool additions to the reporting capabilities. When we have all these interrelations, there's different views that you can have to see, for example, how are different objectives and what projects and programs and portfolios are they aligned with, and how are they all interrelated? So some interesting dynamics and interesting perspectives that we can have in our decision-making process just by adopting these capabilities. Now, on top of this, we talked about OnePlan being in the Power Apps and the Accelerator. And OnePlan is built for the Microsoft Cloud. It leverages your Azure Active Directory for authentication, etc. But there's also another dimension. Now, OnePlan, you can use that directly in a browser, but it's also designed to be consumed within a Power App like the Accelerator. It's designed because it is an authorized Microsoft Teams application to be consumed within Microsoft Teams, along with the other Teams capabilities in there for posts and collaboration and content. It's also designed, if you integrate with Azure DevOps, to access the OnePlan capabilities right within your use of Azure DevOps, so you don't have to leave Azure DevOps to get the OnePlan capabilities. The same would hold true for things in Dynamics and within SharePoint itself. The key is to have the option for people to stay working in the tools that they work in every day. So if you're in Teams all day long, why not use it there? If you're in Azure DevOps with Agile all day long, why not use it there? Same thing holds true with Power Apps if you have a Power App strategy overall within your organization. So with that, I'd like to move on to a demonstration. All right, so let's talk about this Power App and this Accelerator and the components. And I'm going to kind of build on this. If we think about the Power App as this no-code, low-code platform that allows us to easily fashion applications. Now, yes, we've provided an accelerator that gets you started. Does that mean it can't be extended? No. With the proper licensing with Power Apps or Project, you can extend these with different tables and entities in here to extend this capability. But what you get out of the box with the accelerator is, one, a project's portfolio. So instead of just getting access to your web-based project for the web plans, every time you save one, it now comes into a portfolio of projects, each of these representing a different project. You can even have different health measures with color-coded KPIs. You can have other data points in here like financials and prioritization scores, etc. And you can have a variety of different views in here. So for example, if I wanted something more of an overall financial summary picture, and I had the financial data in here, I could have that kind of focus in here. I could have maybe of a strictly a prioritization focus that has my different ratings in here that drove a prioritization score for this based on a formula that you have in place. And the idea here is that you can fashion the different views in here that make sense for you outside of the ones that are provided in the base solution itself. Now, as we look in here in these different views, you can then drill into a specific project. And what do you get out of the box? I'll drill into this one specific project here. And now instead of just having a schedule for the project for the web, we now have portfolio level data, that surrounds or is part of or just other components or dimensions of the project information in addition to your schedule. For example, the summary information, which you can add to have the different pieces of data and metadata that categorize and characterize your projects. In this case, we've got, what project type it is, who the owner is, what program it's part of, maybe what business unit, who the project manager is, etc. And even some high-level information that summarizes things on how we're doing on schedule and financials and effort. The key is that there's a starting point, but it's configurable to add other fields that make sense for you. There's a business case component. Now, this could come forward from a project request area that we talked about earlier that we'll talk about a little bit later on. But this might carry forth into the project any narrative you might have around that project, as well as what the basis for the prioritization might have been to drive a prioritization score on this. Now, the tasks themselves, instead of just opening this up in Project for the Web by itself, it actually will give you access to the project for the web schedule that was built for this. Now, this one's going to be a fairly simple one, but the idea here is that it gives you the ability to have your schedule accessed in the context of a portfolio of information on this project, not just the schedule information itself. And as we talked about, you might look at this in terms of boards or more timeline views with the the different Gantt chart elements in here, etc. So this is something that the tasks and the schedule itself is just one component of the overall project information. Now, yes, we can track a risks log where we capture the risks themselves, where we capture the issues and the data points around those, any change requests, the same type of log that we have, and even status reports where you can actually generate periodic status reports that capture at any given point in time the data from the solution, as well as any narrative you put in around that solution as well, on accomplished activities or planned activities, additional comments, etc. So these are some of the things within the project content that you get within this project table that is a portfolio of your projects. Now, if you take that up a notch, you can now get a aggregation of programs in here. So let's say I drill into the e-commerce portal development program. And in here, you might have program level description and data. You might have financials in here that has maybe a program budget, but you might have individual projects contributing to this that are pulling from that budget to give me an idea how much of that budget we're using and how much is remaining. You might have program level status that you want to track on the project counts and active projects and how many of them are on track, etc. As well as just itemization of the projects that are part of this program and how they're doing in their different views across that, as well as any notes or things like that that you might want to capture around that program. So once again, aggregations, and once again, keep in mind, these can be extended with other fields of data. Now, the project request, which is a little farther upstream in the process, this would allow us to come in here and actually, come in and start a request, capture some basic information and categorization of that. And once again, this form could be modified with different fields of data that you might want to include. Any narratives on business cases I showed you in the project that could be carried forth as you promote this. And maybe the prioritization scheme. In this case, it's more of a business driver alignment, like how well is it strategically aligned? How well does it contribute to our to lower costs or increase revenue, improve employee retention, risk, etc. All calculating a score. And this can be modified to be your model that you might be using in a spreadsheet or something today. The key here would be at the appropriate time through Power Automate, you can establish flows so that somebody with permissions can actually move this into an approved state, and at that same time have this request not just die and then have you be reinstituting it in the projects table. It will promote it into those projects and carry forth with it the data that you'd like from this request, and then you can expand upon it with the data you need for an active project. Now, in here, there's also the capability to have your resource pool and characterize your resources like you did in Project Online, as well as the ability to do your reports in Power BI. So for example, let me sign in. The key here is that without the Accelerator, there's no portfolio level or program level data from Project for the Web. All that data to characterize your projects wouldn't be there. So for example, the request from the request area allows us to visualize that and maybe look at different things like what are our security related things? What's the program level health that we have in here? What's the portfolio level health about the different portfolios, etc. So the key is that you have different level of data here that you didn't get without the Accelerator complementing what you get from Project Online, Project for the Web as a scheduling tool. So in this, let's talk about OnePlan. And we talked about how in the slides, how OnePlan can add additional capabilities to this Accelerator. So let's just say we want to add OnePlan to this mix. And notice I'm in essentially the same solution, but what we've done here is we've added some other components that you didn't see before here on the left navigation. For example, on the Portfolio Analyzer, we have enhanced views in here where you can actually work with things in a variety of other fashions. You can actually look at more enhanced list views with or without timelines. Maybe look at things with a Gantt chart for that particular schedule and portfolio. Perhaps look at things from more of a other aspects of this that you might want to look at. But the idea here is that you would also have the ability to look at things in portfolio boards and work with your entire portfolio in different ways. With this columns, it's by business unit and how we're looking at these by business unit. And swim lanes could be by like your different teams or groups that are working on those things, and be able to look at these things and manage any backlogs of things that you might want to introduce in there as well. And it could be, the columns could be anything, like it could be state or status, right? Where things are at, what do we have in proposed state, what's in the active state, etc. Very flexible ways to do this. And the other piece would be able to have roadmaps that are automatically surfaced based upon different criteria. Here they're by business unit, but maybe I want to look at them by, oh, I don't know, what program type that they're in, or whatever it might be. So the key here is that you have different views that you might have in here that you wouldn't get within the Accelerator by itself. On top of that, you get what if analysis capability, meaning I'm looking at doing this portfolio, all of which these plans are coming from Project for the Web in the Accelerator. I could come in here and say, do I have the resources to do this? And if I build a resource plan, I could basically say, or in this case, I'm looking at a financial plan, I could actually look at a budget and say, do I have the dollars to do this? And it looks like I'm a little bit over on the budgeting, on the plan of what it would take to do those things. I could unselect projects until I get down to a budget number, which I just did within the overall budget. Maybe I'm a little over in certain timeframes, but I can also go in here and look at my timeline and say, what if I have to move some of these things out and say, what if we did these things a little bit later on, and decide, what that means, and have it re-racked down below. And we can save these different options as scenarios and do what if scenarios here as well. So in this case, I could do it from a financial perspective and my financial constraints, or I could do it from a resource set of constraints, basically saying, do I have the resources to do it? But from a resource perspective, it looks like everything's green right now. So it looks like I'm in good shape with this, and there's nothing I have to reconcile from a resource perspective. Now that resource information comes from resource plans. And these resource plans allow us to do things that you can't do on a time phase basis in the Accelerator. Now that resource planning allows you to do capacity planning from the top down, whether it be high level planning, which we might do in terms of hours or FTEs or percentages. In this case, I'm looking at hours, but it could easily look at it and plan it in terms of overall FTEs. I could also have different plan types. So in this case, I've got top down that's basically saying, these are the FTEs I think I'm going to need across these different projects, so that this is what I need that still has generically planned as business analyst. I could say, what do we actually have that Daniel Williams is on, and look at what things we have earmarked for Daniel Williams and to what degree that rolls up into his overall allocation or over or under allocation as we look through that. Not to mention generic assignments that allow us to determine where we still have to put names to things, where we don't have anybody physically named yet to do this work. So from a planning perspective, very early on, long before you have a schedule, you can use this top-down approach. You could also use a scheduled approach, whereby you can have a bottom-up come up from the schedules, from the resource assignments to the individual tasks in your projects, and say, this is what that looks like, and be able to look at those things from the bottom up, and seeing from what tasks that Steve is on within this customer survey project, rolling those up to an overall over allocation for him right now. And you could actually compare them. So I could do things like compare what was in the committed plan to the schedule, and see if what we have scheduled in the schedules varies greatly from what was in the actual original assumptions in the top-down plan. So you have options there to work with those things as you would like. The other thing that you didn't see in the base Accelerator was the My Work area. And this is one whereby the individual contributors, the resources on your projects, can go to one place. And here I'm Daniel Williams as the person I'm in. And I can see I'm on all these different projects. And I can see what has been assigned to me on those projects. And I can either simply send completion status, update percent completes, other particular data. I can view this as my own, let's just say, personal Gantt chart, if I like. I can also work with this in terms of a Kanban board. If I want to just go ahead and say it's in progress or completed, etc., I can work with it in that fashion in here as well. So the key there would be that you can work with this and contribute and get communication back to your project and your project manager in a way that makes most sense to you. on top of that, there is a timesheet capability. So if you have if you're an organization that needs to report in timesheets for whatever rationale that is, billing to clients, for tax credits, for CapEx and OpEx calculations, etc., internal chargebacks. The idea is that OnePlan can actually automatically populate this timesheet with the things that you've been assigned to, allow you to enter your time, annotate that time with notes, give you an idea how much of what you've been allocated you've already charged against to see if you're over and under as you're charging those things, or if you give permissions to people to do so, to be able to add tasks from different projects to your timesheet as you see fit and charge to that, with full approvals for resource managers and for project managers across this process as you go through this and capture the actuals around your projects. So those are some of the things that are added by OnePlan to the mix. And as you go into the projects themselves, the standard project portfolio that you have from within the Accelerator, as I go into this now and I open up a particular project, if I'm leveraging this with OnePlan, essentially what I can do here is add additional capabilities even within the context of the project details that are here, so that when I come in here, I can actually have more detailed financials in here, which on more of a time phase basis that drove the things that I saw in the what if scenarios. Let me load these up. So you can have budgets, you can have revised forecasts, actuals, or any other types of cost types you have in here, as well as define your cost category structure, which can be labeled and also be given expense types like CapEx and OpEx. And the idea is that you can compare budget versus forecast and those types of things in a detailed fashion. The resource capacity planning that I showed you at a global level across multiple projects, that's built up from building these resource plans within individual projects themselves. So OnePlan adds this mix to the Accelerator, so you can see what the requirements are within this particular project, rolling into that broader resource management view that I showed you earlier on. Then you have the issues and the risks and the tasks, all the things that were in here before, but these are the capabilities that we added in the resources in the financial area, as well as the portfolio area as well. Let me go to one other environment real quick, just to show you how you could extend entities even beyond that within the Power App to make it even more broad in its capabilities. For example, the strategy area in here, we can establish objectives and key results in a strategic plan such that we can have executives map out that strategy, execute on that strategy, but then we could align our projects with those. So in this case, I have objectives and key results, for example, like grow our corporate global business. The objective is that, or is that strategy. And then here are some objective key measures to see whether or not we've made that, like hit company goal global sales target of 100 million, achieve 100% year-to-year sales growth, etc. And we can track those things as we go through here. I won't go into more detail. Happy to schedule some detailed demos with you on that. But the idea is you can identify these things, execute and track on these things, but then you can also come in and align them with different projects if you see fit. So for example, you could actually come into an area and align it with your projects as need be. I guess the other key piece that's in this area that we didn't show in the last model is that insights area that I mentioned in the slides. Here, you can set up insights that alert me to things that are overdue, alerts me to things that timesheets that I'm needed, things that I'm not in compliance on, maybe things I have to approve. And you can define as many of these things as you want, so that it calls my attention to those things, as well as gives me quick access to the projects I'm involved in, so I don't have to navigate through an entire portfolio to get that. There's also the ability to do conversation threads that allow you to see what's going on the tasks and the projects that you're working on and view the entire threads on those conversations right from here. So once again, getting insights to help us stay on top of the things that we need to stay on top of. I guess the other key piece in this model, if I go to the additional OnePlan pieces that are in here, this one is a model where the last one I showed you, all the plans from the Accelerator were basically based on Project for the Web is the scheduling tool. Just be aware that as we look in the entire portfolio here, notice now, rather than just Project for the Web as icons over here, notice I've got Project Professional. I've got links to team sites. I might be having plans come from Jira or Azure DevOps. And the idea here is that you can just have the users work with the tools that make sense to them, or they can use the OnePlan tools themselves, because there's some planning tools within OnePlan by itself. As you can see here with these ones that have no icons themselves, they're just using the planning tools within OnePlan itself. So you can have a holistic portfolio, having, once again, having your users work the way they want, which is part of that Microsoft vision. Now, on top of that, let's just take a look at this. So you can have OnePlan collaborate with Microsoft Teams and make that the collaborative team site. So if I go to open the team site that this is affiliated with, and in here, it should be bringing me to this support customers using mobile site, okay? And in that, you get the standard Teams capabilities of things like your posts and your files for content and repository, but also notice now that it's got a link to OnePlan. And this OnePlan capability gives you the ability to come in and work with OnePlan right here from within Teams. So OnePlan can actually create this team for you every time that you actually create a project in OnePlan, and access to all the things in here, your details, your resource plan, your work plans, etc., all accessible in OnePlan right from here. Now, you have existing team sites. You can also add it by just add a tab. If you're licensed for OnePlan, you can add it to any team site, because we are an authorized Microsoft Teams app, and it would be made available to you right from within here, right from within your ability to do apps. You can even add it to the left rail and left navigation here by adding from the ellipsis here, because OnePlan is available if you're licensed to that to do it in a more general fashion from a portfolio level rather than a project-specific level. Within this, OnePlan can be also accessed directly from a browser. So if you wanted to come at it directly from a browser, the same types of things, the flexibility, once again, of what we were talking about, of ways you can consume this and ways you can access the data, is all available to you as options. So we looked at it from Power Apps, we looked at it from within Teams. Now I'm going to access it right from within the browser. And in this case, all the capabilities that I showed you before are right within here. Now, one thing I might show you in addition here, in this connection with Azure DevOps, not only are we sharing backlog data into the tasks and rolling that up into the portfolio, we are also making OnePlan available for to be used and consumed right from within Azure DevOps itself. So here is the epic that OnePlan is connected to for that portfolio plan in OnePlan. But notice a couple things. One is you can access the OnePlan capabilities of portfolios and My Work and timesheets and resource plans right here from within Azure DevOps. Or in the context of this particular epic, I can look at the OnePlan piece that is connected in here, what data is being synchronized across there, and access all these OnePlan capabilities I've demonstrated to you thus far, right from within the context of Azure DevOps. So once again, the flexibility of work where you want, when you want, and in the context of the tools that you're working in. So I think I'll leave the demo there. We do have a number of different reports available to us that OnePlan adds to the mix, about 40 different variations that we add to the Microsoft reports for the things like strategy and more portfolio level and resource data that's available because you add OnePlan. So that is an option here, and if you're interested, we can schedule more of a one-on-one demo with you to go through those and demo in the context of your own requirements. So with that, let me go back and summarize. So, Microsoft is in the process of reimagining Project and Project Online. The new Microsoft solution is built on the Power Platform. Microsoft PPM Accelerator is built by OnePlan Solutions, so we have intimate knowledge and can help you very much with that. The new Microsoft solution does not have full feature parity with Project Online at this point, the Accelerator with Project for the Web. But the PPM Accelerator, the Project Accelerator with OnePlan, extends and goes even beyond the capabilities of Project Online, things that didn't exist in Project Online. So the thing is, you can even take the ball further with that combination. OnePlan also adds those strategic portfolio management capabilities we talked about, adding things like enterprise architecture and other alignments. And OnePlan as a services firm provides all the solution services and support to ensure your transition and make sure that you get the outcomes that you're looking for. You'll get this in the slides, but just a high-level view of what the high-level capabilities of Project Online, what you get with Project for the Web with the Accelerator, and if you use the Accelerator with OnePlan, checking all these boxes so that you can get an idea of what's there and what's not, just from a high level. We also have migration tooling. So if you want to get from Project Online into that Project Power App in OnePlan combination, we have the tool sets to help you migrate and make that a little bit of an easier transition. If you're not sure what that would be, we're happy to engage with you on a migration workshop to determine what you have, what data you have, what formats, or what you'd like to get in the solution, and help you understand what it is that it would take and what those costs would be in order to get you over and migrated. We also provide webinars on a routine basis. Next week, we're going to do another one on the future of Project Online to expand upon this topic a little bit more. The next gen PPM on the Power Platform, and get into a little more detail on some of these topics we talked about today. Now, the Accelerator, you can get it free up on AppSource. Go to Microsoft AppSource or up in GitHub, and you can actually get that Accelerator if you're working with Project for the Web. We can help you. There's some prerequisites and authorizations that you need in order to be able to install it internally from the people who administer your systems. But the idea there is that you can get this as a free download and implement that. We also have OnePlan as a free trial available to you. Either the adaptive or strategic portfolio management options are things that I would highly recommend as the more fully functional ones, but you can go up to AppSource, search on OnePlan, and we're happy to chaperone you and assist you and guide you to make sure you get the most value out of that trial. We also offer roadmap workshops. So if you're not even up to the point of thinking of migration, you want to know what it would take to get into a solution like this, we're happy to walk through you on some discovery and determine what it's going to take to get you there. So some next steps, please take us up on a free trial if you like, and we'll chaperone you. A roadmap workshop of what it's going to take to get from point A to point B. If you're interested in more details and you were encouraged by what you saw today, a more personalized one-on-one demo, we're happy to schedule it with you. You can either reach out to us at contact@oneplan.ai in general, and we'll respond to you, or you can research us more at our website at www.oneplan.ai to get more information on our solutions and capabilities. Now, you could also reach out to me directly if you'd like to have a conversation. In addition to the general contact information, you will be getting a copy of these slides. I'd like to thank you for taking some valuable time today to listen to this topic. We really would like to engage with you. That's what we love to do. So please reach out, don't be bashful. As a matter of course, we are invested in success, and by that we mean our customers' success. So thank you very much again for your time, and we hope to engage with you in the future. Have a great day.